All right, let's jump into this. Welcome to our deep dive, all about IELTS speaking prep. But honestly, this is useful for anyone who wants to, sound more natural when they speak English. We're focusing on daily life vocabulary, the kind of stuff that comes up in like those casual IELTS speaking conversations.
Yeah, exactly. And to help us out, we've got some excerpts from IELTS vocabulary for daily life conversations. It's packed with tips, so we've pulled out, the most essential advice to help you sound really fluent, even if you don't think you're a vocab whiz.
Makes sense. So no more, sounds like a broken record, just using the same basic words all the time, right?
Yeah, it's all about range. Think about it, instead of always saying good, you could use like fantastic or excellent or terrific or you get the idea. Depends on the context, right? And then there are idioms and phrasal verbs.
Right, like instead of saying meet friends, you could say catch up with friends. It's like little things that make a big difference.
Exactly. Okay, so the book we're looking at, IELTS Vocabulary for Daily Life Conversations, it breaks vocabulary down into 5 key areas. They are routines, hobbies, shopping, directions, and socializing, which I think is a really helpful way to, organize your thoughts and practice.
You're like a roadmap, like, okay, I need to know these kinds of words for this situation, these kinds for that.
Right.
So starting with routines, what kind of vocabulary are we looking at here?
Well, you got to think about verbs and time phrases because it's not just, what you do, but when you do it. Like, for example, instead of just saying, I have breakfast, you could say, I grab a quick yogurt before work, or on weekends, I love to have a leisurely brunch.
Okay.
In the book, it even suggests like specific times, like around 7 a.m. or in the late afternoon. It makes it more precise,
Yeah, those details definitely make it more interesting. And it helps the listener really picture like what your day looks like.
For sure. So moving on to hobbies, what are you passionate about? Something you could talk about for hours.
Oh, man, that's tough. I have so many. I think one that I could really get into is learning languages.
Ah, nice.
It's like opening up a whole new world,
I see that for sure. And it's interesting, you naturally used a descriptive verb there. You said you get into languages. It wasn't just, oh, I like languages. That's what we're going for. The book talks a lot about using, action verbs and really descriptive adjectives to make your hobbies come alive. Like if you were into photography, you wouldn't just say, I take pictures. You'd say, I'm really focused on capturing those fleeting moments where I love to experiment with different compositions or something.
Right. That's way more interesting than just, oh, yeah, I take photos. Mm-hmm. Okay. What about shopping? Do you like browsing those busy markets, or are you more of an online shopper?
I think I'm more the online shopper type, honestly. But, those markets, they definitely have their own charm, especially when you're, traveling or something.
Yeah, I get that. So finding the right words to describe, like why you prefer one over the other, that's important, right?
Yeah, totally. The book, it gives some good examples. Like you could describe a market as vibrant or overflowing with local crafts, while online shopping might be more like efficient and offer a vast selection.
Right. Okay, imagine this. I'm totally lost and I need directions. What are some key phrases I could use to get help without sounding, completely clueless?
Okay, so let's say you're looking for a new art gallery. Everyone's been talking about it. You could ask someone, excuse me, could you point me in the direction of that new art gallery?
Okay.
I'm a bit lost. And if you need more specific instructions, you could even ask, is it within walking distance, or would I need to take public transportation?
Yeah, that's so much better than just, where's the art gallery?
Yeah.
It's more polite, and it gives them some context.
Exactly. And when someone's giving you directions, pay attention to, landmarks like traffic lights or the corner store, and directional phrases like turn left, go straight, head east, things like that. Those are all in the book.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, last one, socializing. This is where I think a lot of people, myself included, sometimes struggle to go beyond those basic phrases.
Right.
Like, I spend time with friends. Yeah, everyone does that.
Exactly. So instead of those basic phrases, try using phrasal verbs like catch up, hang out, get together. Those are things that, native speakers use all the time.
Makes sense. Yeah, those sound more natural.
And don't be afraid to, really describe your feelings. Like instead of just, I had a good time, you could say, it was a hilarious evening, or, we had a really thought-provoking discussion.
Okay, I'm getting this. It's really about like stepping up your game with your vocabulary. It can totally change how you sound and how confident you feel when you're speaking.
Exactly. So for those listeners who are thinking, okay, this is all great, but I'm ready for more, let's take things up a notch. Ready to explore some advanced
Oh
techniques.
yeah, bring it on. I'm all about leveling up. What's next on our vocabulary adventure?
All right, so we're back and ready to really, put this vocab knowledge into action.
I'm ready. It's like we've been given this toolbox full of like shiny new words and phrases.
I like that analogy, but the goal isn't to just, sound like you're reciting a dictionary.
Right, right. Not a robot. It's more about like how to actually use those words in a natural way.
Exactly. Think of it like training for a marathon. You wouldn't just like sprint right out of the gate.
No way I'd be like face down on the pavement before the first mile.
Exactly. You got to build up your stamina gradually, focusing on one area at a time. So let's go back to those 5 areas we talked about: routines, hobbies, shopping, directions, and socializing. Which one do you feel, most comfortable talking about?
Probably routines. I'm pretty routine oriented, so talking about my day-to-day stuff feels pretty natural.
Perfect. So think about how you can level up your vocabulary within that area. Like instead of saying, I wake up early, you could say, I rise early, or, I get up early. Or instead of I have breakfast, you could say, I fuel up with a nutritious breakfast.
Oh, fuel up. I like that. It's more, it's definitely more active.
Right. And that applies to all the areas. For hobbies, think action verbs, descriptive words. Shopping, how can you express those preferences more vividly? Directions, think clarity and precision. And for socializing, experiment with those phrasal verbs, the idioms, to make it sound more natural.
Yeah, okay, I'm getting this. But I got to admit, I'm still a bit intimidated by those, advanced techniques like the collocations and comparisons.
I get it. But remember, even those advanced techniques, they're built on that foundation of, the basic vocabulary. Once you're comfortable with the individual words, then you can start playing around with how they work together.
So it's kind of like building a house. You need a solid foundation before you start adding on like all the fancy features.
Exactly. And think of collocations as like the mortar that holds those bricks together. They make your language flow smoothly. The more you practice them, the more natural it'll become.
Okay, that makes sense. What about comparisons? Any tips on how to, use them in a conversation without it sounding forced?
Well, one easy way is to start with, phrases like unlike or compared to. So instead of just I like watching movies, you could say, unlike my brother, who's really into action films, I'm more of a romantic comedy person.
Oh, I see. It's like a subtle way to give more detail without just repeating the same old phrases.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get creative. You can compare preferences, experiences, personality traits. Really, the possibilities are endless.
Wow, this is really eye-opening. I'm feeling like a whole new level of confidence in my English.
That's awesome. And remember, the most important thing is to have fun with it. Experiment, make mistakes, learn from them.
I'm definitely feeling ready to embrace the challenge. So before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, maybe we could go through some specific examples for those 5 areas, just to really solidify those vocabulary strategies.
Absolutely. Let's start with routines. Imagine the examiner asks you about your typical weekday morning. Instead of just listing activities, think about how you can use, really vivid verbs and time phrases to paint a picture.
Okay, so instead of I wake up at 7 a.m. and have cereal for breakfast, I could say something like, my weekday mornings usually start with a jolt as my alarm goes off at 7 a.m. sharp. Then I stumble to the kitchen to fuel up with a bowl of crunchy cereal and a steaming cup of coffee.
Excellent. You've used strong verbs there, jolt and stumble, and the time phrase 7 a.m. sharp adds a nice sense of precision.
Yeah. Okay, now for hobbies. Let's say my passion is baking. How can I use descriptive language to, make that sound more exciting?
Think about the senses. What do you see, smell, taste, feel when you're baking? You could say, I'm completely captivated by the alchemy of baking. The aroma of warm vanilla and cinnamon filling my kitchen as I, meticulously measure each ingredient is pure bliss. And the moment I taste that first bite of a perfectly golden brown cookie, it's pure magic.
Wow, that's so much better than just I like to bake. It's like you've captured the whole experience.
Right. It's about creating an immersive experience for the listener. Okay, moving on to shopping. Do you prefer those, bustling markets or the efficiency of online shopping?
Honestly, I love both. But there's something really satisfying about, discovering those hidden treasures in a local market.
I get that. You could describe that experience as, a thrilling treasure hunt where you unearth these unique handcrafted items. And when you find that perfect piece, you could describe it as a serendipitous discovery.
Serendipitous. Okay, that's a good one. Definitely adding that to my vocabulary list.
Excellent. Now let's imagine you're giving directions to that local market. Remember, clarity is key. Specific landmarks, distances, directional phrases.
Okay, so instead of just, it's down the street, I can say, from here, head east for about 2 blocks. You'll pass a vibrant flower stall on your right. Just pass a flower stall, take a left at the corner where the old bakery is. The market will be on your left, just opposite the park.
Perfect. Clear landmarks, the flower stall, the bakery. A specific distance, 2 blocks. Clear directional phrases, head east, take a left. It's all there.
Giving directions just got way easier. Now, what about socializing? Any key phrases that can help me sound more natural when talking about, my social life?
Remember those phrasal verbs we talked about? Catch up, hang out, get together. Those are your friends. And don't be afraid to, throw in some idioms to add a little personality, like, I love to shoot the breeze with my friends over a cup of coffee, or my friends and I, we always have a blast when we paint the town red.
Ooh, I like paint the town red. That's fun. I'm definitely going to try that one out.
Perfect. And remember, personal anecdotes are your superpower. Don't be afraid to share a brief story that, showcases your vocabulary in the natural way.
This is amazing. I'm feeling so much more confident about my English. It's like a whole new world has opened up.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, even native speakers are constantly learning, constantly evolving their language. Be patient with yourself. Enjoy the process. Have fun with it.
This deep dive has been incredible. I feel like I have a whole new set of tools to, really express myself in English.
Yeah.
And to think it all started with those excerpts from IELTS vocabulary for daily life conversations.
It's been my pleasure. But remember, this is just the beginning. The more you practice, the more you experiment, the more confident and fluent you'll become. So go out there, strike up those conversations and let your personality shine through.
That's what we like to hear. Time to ditch the robotic small talk and really embrace the power of, personalized, engaging conversation. Until next time, happy chatting.
We're back. I feel like my brain has, doubled in size from all this vocabulary.
That's great. So are you ready to, take all of this and turn it into something you can actually use?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, what's the point of knowing all these words if you're not going to, actually use them? Exactly. Remember that question I asked earlier about, which area of this daily life vocabulary you really want to, master?
Yeah.
Focusing your energy on that can really help you see results faster.
Okay, I'm going to choose socializing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, sometimes I feel like such a robot in social situations.
I get it.
Yeah. So hit me with those phrasal verbs, those idioms. I want to sound like, I actually enjoy talking to people.
Love it. And honestly, even if you weren't prepping for IELTS, being comfortable in social settings is just a great skill to have, period.
Right.
Imagine feeling like you can connect with anyone, anywhere.
Okay, now I'm really motivated, but how do I practice this without feeling like I'm being all fake and reciting from a textbook?
The key is to make it personal. Don't just memorize random phrases. Think about your own experiences and how you can use those new words to talk about them.
Ooh, I see. So instead of oh, I like to catch up with friends, I could say, last weekend, my friends and I, we decided to try that new escape room, the one everyone's talking about. It was so much fun.
There you go. You used catch up naturally, and it's tied to, a real memory.
Okay, I'm starting to get this. It's less about studying and more about just expressing yourself, but with, better words.
Exactly. And remember, even native speakers are always learning new things, always finding new ways to say things. Just be patient, have fun with it, and you'll get there.
This has been awesome. Thank you so much. I feel like I've leveled up my English skills for sure.
Glad to hear it. And remember, this is just the beginning. Keep practicing, keep experimenting, and you'll become more and more confident. So go out there, have those conversations, and don't be afraid to let your personality shine through.
Yes. Time to ditch that robotic small talk and, embrace those real engaging conversations. Until next time, happy chatting, everyone.